My name is Melissa Rowe. I was born in Jamaica in a small village in the western part of the island, and I'm a seventh of 14 children. I have 5 brothers and 5 sisters because number of children died at birth. I came to Canada in 1970 in the middle of the FLQ crisis. When I arrived at the airport, there were soldiers and guns everywhere. And I thought, oh, this is not what I signed up for. It was quite scary, actually. It was quite cold. I mean, the scenery, and inside with guns, and I was scared as to, is this another Jamaica? Having guns and soldiers everywhere. And then I went outside, and I came to work with a British family of 6. There were 4 children, and 2 of them were twins. And they were outside waiting for me. So I was terrified because of the soldiers and the guns and what that meant. But I was also quite afraid of the people that I was going to be working for, because I've never had contact with white people that close up. I mean, in Jamaica we have where simple is out of many one people, but my contact in terms of people were not so many with people of white people, basically. I had worked in Jamaica, in Kingston, with Jamaicans taking care of their children. So so that basically gave a bit of a different class in terms of me coming from a small village and working for a different class of Jamaicans in Kingston.
How did you find out about the domestic scheme?
Like many of the other speakers before me, through advertising. I saw an advertisement in the newspaper. Okay, so there were different kinds of advertising. There were through newspapers, and there was on TV, and there were agencies that on the island that were advertising for housekeepers and nannies for Canada, and that's where I got the idea to migrate.
How were they advertising? What did it say?
Oh boy. Nannies wanted in to work in Canada. I can't remember exactly what it is, but something similar to that. I can't remember exactly how it was, but it's basically because I was looking for a way of leaving Jamaica, and that became the opportunity for me. So for me, it didn't really matter what it said. I wanted to have a change.
Why did you want to leave Jamaica?
For me, I have, because I said I came from a large family, but so I have older siblings and I had younger siblings, and I was right in the middle. My older siblings, I didn't feel was being really good role models for me, based on my own expectation, because a number of them were having children, like my older sisters were having children and bringing them back home for my mother to take care of them, and because I was the eldest there at the time, I was taking care of these children as well. So I felt like I was the helper, which is taking care, because when you're older, you're the one who's taking care of the younger children, so my younger siblings, as well as my older siblings' children. And so I wanted something better for myself than what they were doing with their lives. I wanted to do something different with mine. Also, I wanted, when I had my children, I wanted them to call me mother, not my mother. The first and only family that I worked with here in Ottawa was a British family, and it wasn't. I think for me, it was not as positive an experience. The children were always in my room, I had no time for myself where I could just be. So the night when I arrived, for example, I wanted to go to sleep, or I just wanted to go to my room and cry because I missed my family, and they wanted to talk. So once the children finally left my room, I was able to weep, basically be sad, because I really missed my family because I hadn't been away before. I've been in Kingston from the village, but I've never really left the island. I could go back and forth. And at this point, I really realized that I had no access to them, and there was no way or anyone to consult. Also, as mentioned previously, there weren't very many black people in Ottawa. Of course, I didn't know that at the time, but there wasn't very many black people in Ottawa. Plus, the place that I was living was called Shirley's Bay. Shirley's Bay is a very isolated area, so I was feeling isolated, not only away from people who I know, but also being out in Shirley's Bay where there weren't many other people. The houses were far away from each other. It was like farmland, lots of trees around, like it's not a lot of air and that kind of thing. So it was my time was very, very isolating and very lonely. And the lady with whom I work with also worked outside of the home, but she depended very heavily on whatever it is she needed. I had to get it for her because she didn't like to do things for herself, and she did absolutely nothing for her family. So it was total dependence on me working basically 24/7. She was not a very nice person. Her husband was, but not her. She was not very supportive. I had to just basically take over and run the household. Make me a cup of tea, make me a sandwich, do this, do that. She just didn't do anything for herself or for anybody else. So I taught the children how to make their own breakfast, and they love grilled cheese, so I teach them how to make grilled cheese. And then I would get a day off, but because I didn't know anyone and because I'm out in that distance away from Ottawa, what I would do is the husband worked on Bank Street in a used appliance store. So what I would do on my day off is I would come into town with him, and I would wander up and down Bank Street, just making my days, just spending my day that way, and then meet up back with him for the time when he was going back home, so I could get a ride back home, which means going back to work, until I met other people. One of the things that I really remember about walking up and down Bank Street is because I would I wanted so badly to see another black person. And I would walk up and down Bank Street, and I would see a black person, and I would come in, and I would get so excited, and they would cross the street. And for me, I don't know whether that was deliberate because there's so few of us that they see somebody else, they don't want to talk to you, that type of thing. But for me, that was so sad. So I did that for a while, for I think about probably the first 3 to 6 months that I was here, until I met another woman who was working for a Jamaican family, the Downies. The Downies basically adopted me, and I adopted them, and they became my first family in Ottawa, and I'm still in touch with them. They had 2 sons, and they're just wonderful people.